I'm over here in the module uh, location so I can make use of an example we have up on the wall that I want to show you. The parachute's pretty easy to do. You get a parachute here. You can use any piece of plastic, and then you cut out the shape that you think is desirable. Now, the reason why we cut out the center of this is because that reduces the drag during the descent, and that'll bring it down quicker. If you don't have that circle in there, or that hole, what happens is these parachutes have a tendency to hold up the rocket longer, and they end up drifting out of the school property. So I would recommend making it at least this size, maybe even larger, so that we can get this thing down to the ground relatively fast. To be honest with you, you really don't need a parachute with these rockets. They're light enough where they can do a tumble recovery. You could even, probably a good idea would be to put a streamer. I may get some streamers, and that's just a long piece of probably 1.5 to 2 inch wide material like this. It's usually orange, so that you can see it once the parachute deploys or the nose cone comes off. So we may go that route, but you really don't need these kind of parachutes. It's nice to build one to get some experience, but for this rocket, they're light enough we don't need it. And then, of course, you have to tie shroud lines onto the parachute, so you can see the location where the shroud lines go. You can cut it out from just regular, any kind of string, and I've cut out about 6 pieces. It should be about 12 inches long, maybe a little longer, so you tie them on there. Now let me show you the example up on the wall. If you come over here, you'll see that this one parachute doesn't have a hole. Probably where this one was made, they probably had a large area where they could recover the rocket. They didn't need to have a quick descent, so they could probably afford to have it drift a little bit. But you can see that they use a pencil to punch holes. Now this one is, the holes are reinforced with some rings, paper rings, but you don't need that. It's no big deal. And then you can see the shroud lines were cut, and then you can see over here the shroud lines being tied on. And then over here you can see that the shroud lines are tied onto the shock cord. And I showed you earlier how to do the shock cord. So hopefully that this example up here will help you out a little bit, but this is a pretty easy step. It's pretty self-explanatory. And that's it. This is the last step before painting. And after we paint and let the paint dry, we'll build a launch.